Hey, I'm Steve. Today I want to talk to you about creating a bed of music that can sit under a melody or harmony. And it doesn't have to be static music, it can be very dynamic. But the idea of a bed to sit under music is to fill the space, is to create a richness and a texture that wasn't there before. And you can be very, very, very versatile when you're creating a bed. You can create any kind of texture from any culture or time period that you wish. Now, in front of you here, I've got on Pro Tools 12, I have a bed that I've created this morning, and I've made it out of 5 different layers of instruments, and they're all ethnic sounding instruments except for the celesta, which is not really an ethnic sounding one. It's more of a European instrument. But I'll just give you a quick listen. Okay, so as you can hear, I am in 5/4 time. I'm in the key of A minor, or C if you like. And one of the first things you might notice is it's just this solid wall of rich sound. And because it's in stereo, I've been able to pan it left and right, various instruments going different ways, and also into the background using reverb as well. So I've done some 3-dimensional panning before this got to you, just to give it a really wide open space. Now, I'm going to take you through this step by step so that you can have a bit of an idea on how to create your own bed. Now, the first instrument I started with to get the idea, to get the feel, the texture, and the flavour that I'm after is the cymbalom. Now the cymbalom, I will just show you a picture of what a cymbalom looks like, and that is a dude busking with a cymbalom, not the guitar in the background, that thing in the front that you play with mallets. Now he looks like he's concentrating quite hard. I dare say he's going pretty fast. Anyway, it's a beautiful sounding instrument, as you'll hear in a second. So let's just solo that, and I'll play you what the cymbalom sounds like alone. Right, so it's a really light, rich instrument. It's got very, very, very little bass in it whatsoever. It's mainly up high and in the mids, and so it's gentle and soft. It sort of reminds me a bit of rain, this sound. And so this whole feel, I've given it a bit of a melancholy sound, a bit like rain, if you like. So it's got that brittleness up in the top end, which you can sort of mute it down if you wanted to, just to sort of put it more into the background. And the brighter it is, the more into the foreground it feels and sounds. So you can mute it back quite a lot using EQ and just taking away the top end, maybe pulling it down to about 700 hertz or something like that, and just cutting most of the things above that, and you'll hear a real muted sound. Okay, and on top of that, I've put a celesta, and to show you what a celesta looks like, just pull it from over here. I've only got a little picture of a celesta here. Now, it's kind of like a piano, but it's got a really high brittle sound, and I'll show you that in a sec. So the celesta sounds like this. Click on Pro Tools again. Right, it's like a little belly sound. Okay. So all I've done is I've laid just one single note, but rhythmic. And you can hear that has the potential to become quite resonant, so you can actually find the exact frequency in there that you don't like and just pull it down a little bit. I'm not going to do that for now. I'm just going to leave it as is because this is just a simple demo. So that combined with the cymbalom now sounds a little bit like... So something as simple as a single note, and I'll just pull it back out again. Just one note played. Whoops. Makes a world of difference. There it is. It's a warm, rich sound. Then we're adding a bit of ice to it there as well by putting that bell. Now that does share a lot of the frequencies of the cymbalom, except not the very, very high frequencies, that brittle sharpness at the top end. Alright, let's stop. So now the third layer, the marimba. That's certainly not an ethnic instrument, but this would have originated over in the African countries, and it looks somewhat like, it's now very, very much mainstream orchestral instrument. And the marimba looks like that. And it's made of wood. Lots and lots of wood things here with metal tubes to resonate the sound. I don't know what the tubes are called. I've never really studied marimba in detail. They're probably resonators or something along those lines. But it's a very, very beautiful sound. And as you can see, it's quite complex. He's playing it with 4 mallets. And when you see these guys play marimba, you just wonder how on earth they do it. They're incredible. There's some beautiful marimba players out there. And it sounds a little bit like this. You can hear that I've already placed it over to the left side of the field, and I've added a lot of reverb to put it right at the back of the mix. It even sounds like it's down low, as in not in volume, as in height. Now it's very, very soft, and if you play it hard, you can get a real harshness and woody, sort of a clack sound out of it as well. But I didn't want that. I wanted to keep it sort of subtle. And as you can hear, I'm playing mostly the actual pure chords. So if we go back to the cymbalom, the sound of the cymbalom. Now that's actually an A minor that I'm playing there, but you know the notes that I'm playing are not A minor notes. So I've got here, if I was to expand, I'll just unexpand, click on that and expand. Let's just make a selection. Press E for expand. So that there is a D, and usually you don't find a D in your A minor chord. Usually it's just A, C, and E, but the D adds a just a higher feel to it. Just gives it a bit of a, I suppose it's an extra sound. For want of a better word, someone, you should help me out here and put in the notes some way to describe that extra D in an A minor chord. Now that's a doric. I'm going to just play the cymbalom there. And there's a G as well. So if I was to play purely A minor chords, it'd be. But I didn't want that. I wanted it to be sort of granular and edgy, and so I added the D and the G. Ninth, that's what I'm looking for. So the D is a ninth. Right, cool. And the G is a seventh. But it doesn't make it sound like you're sort of jazzy seventh. Like unfinished. And the beauty about this is I've found that when you're using different timbred instruments, you can get away quite easily with using wrong notes. And it sounds beautiful if you use it right and you use it well and you use it confidently. If you don't use it confidently, then people will pick up on that and they'll go, oh, you made a mistake there. So confidence is the key quite often. So anyway, I just thought I'd go into that, why I use those wrong notes. And the celesta obviously is just the standard. I'll just pull up that. It's an E, which is one of the A minor chord notes. Just to emphasize that E, while the cymbalom is playing the D. So listening to those 3 together now, the marimba, celesta, and cymbalom. Now what that marimba gives it is that low, deep richness and that width that we really, really, really want here. So it really fills that space beautifully. So we've got the high brittleness of the cymbalom, we've got that ice of the celesta, and then we've got that open, wide space of the marimba. Now, I didn't want to stop there. I just wanted to create a little bit more texture. I didn't really want to keep it at that timbre, so I added what's called a suraj. Now I'll show you a picture of a suraj. I'll bring it on over. I honestly don't know who this dude is. Someone might be able to tell me and put it in the notes and give him credits for it. But that guy is, oh, it's up the top there, Brennan McIntosh. How about that? And he is playing a sarod. And it's a lovely Indian instrument that can be played with all sorts of different, sounds, I suppose, textures and things in there. But what I've done here is I've kept it as one, and I've made it fairly gentle, fairly muted. So I'll just let you hear what the sarod sounds like. So you can hear that has the potential to be very twangy if I wanted it to be, but I've kept it soft and muted. And as you can hear, I'm playing the ninth note, the D, in there as well, just to sort of follow the cymbalom only an octave down. And I really am just adding to the texture of the cymbalom here. So if I add just the cymbalom in, so the sarod and the cymbalom go together very, very beautifully. It's like they're paired. Now they're not the same notes. As you can hear, there's a little bit of harmony going on in there, a little bit of dissonance as well. Now pulling the cymbalom back out. I've also got that sitting further back into the mix using reverb, so back towards the back end of the stage. And this also, once again, because of that muted sound, feels like it's actually sitting down lower than the rest of the instruments, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but that's just what's happened this morning. Now I'm going to just slowly add in the other instruments, so the cymbalom, the celesta with the ice, the marimba with the width. Now there's one more element that I've added just to give it a rhythmic, granular feel. I mean, I wanted it to be so subtle. I wanted it to be really subtle. Get rid of all those solos. But it needed just to have that little bit more of a an edge, a little bit more of a grainy feel. And so I've gone in and I've found a log drum, and you could use something like a shaker or any kind of small drum perhaps like that. And I've just made it sit. And why am I not hearing that? It's because, bear with me, 13 and 14. Log drum, make it 9, 10. Sorry, okay, now, we should be able to hear. You can hear that? It's just tappy log drum sounds. And a log drum, just so you can see what that looks like as well. Here's some dudes playing the log drum, and obviously they're playing something a lot more complicated than what I'm playing here. Now I could have just played the single note, but that wouldn't have made it sound very authentic. So I've gone and played various articulations of the log drum here, just to keep it interesting. Now, just to prove the granular effect of this log drum, is you can't really hear it in the mix. But if I take it out, and then put it back in again. It's so subtle, but it's there. Just to prove it's there. No, that's too loud, so I'll pull it back. There. There you go, you can hear it now, can't you? And so that's my bed that I've created, a bit of a rolling thing. So the chords that I've used here are A minor, G, D minor, and then C. Sort of moving down the scale. and it's just rolling over and over and over. Obviously my time signature is 5/4, and my tempo over here, as you can see, is 135. If you wanted to do it yourself. So now what you do with that is you can lay something very smooth and long and sweeping over the top of that, and you can be anything, like a voice, someone singing, strings. You can lay strings over that quite beautifully and make it very sort of soundtracky and movie-like, Hollywood-like, if you wanted to. And you could actually do it sweetly if you used only very minimal orchestral instruments. Woodwind, I would suggest going towards woodwind if you were to go that direction as well, and just sweep in some clarinets and oboes and bassoons, and even just fill in the lower end with some French horns and trombones or something like that. But what I've got here is another ethnic instrument called a duduk. I don't have a picture to show you of a duduk. I didn't look it up beforehand, but it's just a very nice Middle Eastern sounding flute. It's got a just a richness, it's even like a woody timbre in itself. And I will just show you how having this rolling bed underneath a long sweeping sounding instrument can just work. So let me just show you that. Okay, so obviously that's not like the finished result of what I would use the duduk, because it's only one articulation. I'd use a lot more. But yeah, you can see that it just works, and you can feel that sound, that bed, is going to disappear into the background very, very quickly because it's so repetitive and so smooth. It doesn't change much. The dynamics is the secret in there, is to keep it all around about the same, and it will move into the background and just fill that space with a richness and a texture that just completely transports you to a new dimension, to a new location, to a new time. And that is the purpose of the music. So go out, have fun, and do good with your music.